This is PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
Everybody, welcome to PIX on Politics Daily, Pop Daily as we like to call it around here. I'm Dan Mannarino. It is Tuesday, April 22nd, and yesterday we talking about the death of Pope Francis, and why that was, why we were talking about it on politics was because of some of the dignitaries that were paying their respects. And we just learned today that Pope Francis' funeral will be held in Vatican City on Saturday, and there will be various heads of state from around the world, of course, heading to Vatican City to pay their respects for Pope Francis, including President Donald Trump and his the First Lady Melania, who will be there in attendance. They've also ordered that the flags around the country be lowered to half staff in remembrance of Pope Francis. So that's the big story of the day, but I also want to focus on what we're talking about right now. And if you watched PIX on Politics on Friday, I had the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety on, Kaz Daughtry, as well as the Chief of Department for the NYPD, John Schell. And we talked about a number of things from public safety to Rikers Island and ICE going on to Rikers Island, which is something that the mayor's office said that they wanted to do, right? And it was interesting to hear from the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, who said it wasn't just going to be ICE. It was going to be DEA and ATF and the Postal Inspector and Department of Justice officials and everything else opening up their offices there. Well, the City Council quickly filed a lawsuit. And then after that interview, just yesterday, there came out this temporary restraining order to prohibit anything from moving until a decision is made in the courts. So I want to talk to the chair of the Immigration Committee for the City Council, Councilwoman Alexa Avilés, who is joining me now on Pop Daily. So, Councilwoman, great to see you.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you so much.
I wanted to see, I hope I laid that out correctly, but talk to me about what exactly this TRO, this temporary restraining order, what it came out, what it means in terms of something that Kaz Daughtry said, which was we're moving full steam ahead on ICE on Rikers Island.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think what we see is that the judge directly has said there can't be any activity right now. We need a proper deliberation, and I believe the hearing will be on Friday. And it's possible that determination was made when you see the administration officials on television saying they're just going to move full steam ahead regardless of the lawsuit, regardless of concerns, which is very disconcerting. So I was pleased to see an interim restraining order and look forward to the deliberations.
So the City Council filed a lawsuit last week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that was after the first Deputy Mayor, Randy Mastro, said that this was going to be happening and moving forward. What was it from the interview on Friday on PIX on Politics? What was it about what was said that raised some red flags to you? And do you think that had anything to do with a temporary restraining order?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was really shocked to hear the administration share kind of blatant disregard for the concerns that are being put on the table, right? Rather than moving expeditiously, what we see is an administration who's just saying, who cares? Regardless of the lawsuit, we are moving forward. So I don't know if, factually that swayed the judge or not. I would imagine it would have been alarming to the judge as it was to many of us to watch. However, we see that the judge did put forward this interim ruling, and we'll see what happens moving forward.
So what do you think on Friday? That hearing is now April 25th, right? What are you anticipating to play out at the hearing? What would you like the outcome to be? And what was what I'm trying to get at is the lawsuit is for what?
Yeah, the lawsuit essentially is saying that there is a conflict of interest here, that the administration is engaged in a quid pro quo, and because of that conflict, what the mayor decided, his runaround around this conflict was to appoint his first deputy mayor to actually execute an executive order. The mayor is fine. There is actually no reason to have a first deputy mayor execute an order, that it still maintains this conflict of interest. And, public officials are held to a very high standard around around conflict of interest and perceived conflict of interest. And so our contention is that this is clearly violating a conflict of interest provision, and in doing so, that this should be mute.
Do you think, when you say it's violating, is it because of sanctuary city rules and laws?
So the sanctuary city policy itself has a provision that allows for cooperation around criminal enforcement. We're saying that the mayor violated the conflict of interest policy when he engaged in a quid quo pro with the federal government, specifically on this action. And that's very well documented in lawsuits and letters of resignation. We see the pattern of facts here.
The original to the lawsuit, City Hall put out a statement, and it was saying, in part, quote, accusing the council of, quote, fanning the flames of fear with intentionally deceptive statements, end quote. Now, that was to the original lawsuit. Then came out the TRO, and they said this: we are grateful that the court agreed with us to delay the hearing until April 25th, end quote. What are your thoughts on those two statements?
I guess they're celebrating needing more time, which is fine, I suppose. I'm not sure what that statement is saying, honestly. It doesn't change the facts, certainly, of the case and the arguments.
Yeah.
We see this as an administration that can't be trusted. And I think it's important that the hearing move forward.
So I want to go to a statement that you guys put out in the council. This came from Julia Agos. And it said, quote, allowing ICE to operate on office on Rikers Island and carry out Trump's destabilizing and extremist mass deportation agenda would make everyone in our city less safe, end quote. That's just the first sentence of the statement. Now, in the interview, the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, Kaz Daughtry, said, well, look, you can't just open cell block 76 and remove somebody, that there has to be a system in place. And are you saying you just don't believe that?
Well, I think Kaz should look at history and practice and know that that was not being followed. This is part of the reason why ICE was ejected from Rikers Island in the first place, was a very clear and consistent violation of civil and human rights, deceptive practices, a waste of taxpayer dollars. The list kind of goes on. Yeah. And fundamental to their argument here is that the Trump administration can be trusted. We see ICE going across the country, violating laws, violating norms, abducting students, getting rid of, detaining people and revoking green cards, revoking visas. This is not an agency that can be trusted by no stretch of the imagination. And so I think this notion that suddenly we should trust the Trump administration to engage in orderly behavior is, insane, quite frankly.
Did you happen to see, and it's okay if you didn't, it's just conversation here, but did you happen to see Mayor de Blasio's comment on this? Because the whole idea of ICE being removed from Rikers Island was something that de Blasio and the council wanted back when former Mayor de Blasio was mayor. Then he came out in this joint interview with Mayor Adams and said, well, if ICE is there and following the rules, I can still sleep at night.
Very puzzling and troubling statement, I will say, of the former mayor. Again, if anyone looks at the facts on the ground, we see an administration that cannot be trusted by any stretch of the imagination. And so why would we take their word for it? I think it's obscene. Yeah.
All right. Keep us posted on how are we doing on time? Keep me posted on what exactly is playing out on Friday, because I know the hearing and the judge is taking place Friday, April 25th. Real quick, while I have you, it is budget season, and I know it's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but how is it looking? How's it? I know June is the deadline, right?
Well, we're still waiting for the state as well. I mean, I think we are hard at work. There's a lot under consideration, both at the state level, given they haven't decided, and also the federal moves, I think, is something we're deeply concerned about, and defunding of a good many services for working New Yorkers. So we're hard at work for sure, and take this very, very seriously.
Okay. Keep us posted. I know it's a busy time for you, but I appreciate you carving out some time to talk to us here on PIX and Politics Daily. Good to see you, Councilwoman.
Thank you so much, Dan. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. And of course, we're staying on top of that since the news is kind of ebbing and flowing here in terms of where this is going to go. We will be all over that on Friday, waiting for that judge's decision to come down about what's going to take place at Rikers Island. And we'll have the councilwoman back to talk about that, as well as the mayor's office to talk about both sides of the equation here. But that's going to do it for us here on PIX and Politics Daily on this April 22nd. We'll see you back here tomorrow. I'm Dan Mannarino. Enjoy your day.